this is the Detached Woven Picot chain. So the woven picot is a 3D triangle that sits up away from the fabric. And detached means that we are going to have the base unattached from the fabric. And chain means that these are going to be linked together. So I have started by making just some short little stitches here where my thread would go in and out of the fabric for my woven picot. So you can see I have my 3 triangle bases here and then the point at the top. When I add my next one in, the last corner of that triangle from the first one is the first from the next. And I used the waist knot for this, so you can see my knots are on the front of the fabric. I'm going to do the same with my thread. So I have all 6 strands of thread here. I've knotted it at the end, and I'm also going to start with a waist knot. So I'll just come in from the front of my fabric, tuck that nice and flush, and then come up right by the start of this first triangle here. And the reason I do that is because I want this long tail on the back to be able to then attach this to whatever I have here. So I'm going to flip my needle around and use the eye of the needle. I'm going to go underneath this first little dash up there at the top of my triangle. There we go. Now we go back underneath the bottom right corner and the center there. Pull that through. Then we go back up to the top, going underneath that strand again. Pull that on through like so. So if you're familiar with the woven picot, this is the base that you stitch on. So I'll keep using the eye of my needle, and now we have our thread going off to the right, so I'm going to weave to the left. So I'll go under, over, under, pull that on through, kind of cinch that up there, go back the other way, over, under, over, pull that on through, and again just kind of push up those rows so they get nice and flush there. And we'll keep repeating, alternating the way our rows are going here as we fill in our triangle. And I grabbed a really long piece of thread because I want to make sure I have enough for all 3 of my woven picots I'm going to add in here. But we'll keep working our way across, filling this in. We don't want to tug too tightly because we want this to keep its nice triangle shape. And we really want to fill in that bottom there because it's going to be exposed. So go maybe like 2 more rows. So we have this one, then I need to get back to the other side because that is the side my chain is attached on. So under, over, go on through. All right, so now I need to start my next woven picot chain. So have the eye of my needle again, and I'm just going to go under that outer stitch right there and wrap my thread around that, pull it on through. So it almost makes a little slip knot to kind of like hold that in place there. So that one's not going to come undone and have any issues. And then we start our next one. So we again go up to the top here, go underneath that thread, go back down to the bottom here, slide it underneath the bottom of the triangle, under the middle, pull that on through. We go back up to the top, making our straight line down the center, gently tug. So that way these are all nice and even here. We don't have like a loose triangle. There we go. And now we'll weave. So my thread's off to the right. I'm going to weave to the left. So again, under, over, under. Be careful not to snag that first woven picot as we start to weave here. and then over, under, over. Continue to smush up those rows so we get a really filled in triangle here. And with this one, we're just making sure we don't go through the fabric. We're all on the front of the fabric here, and that helps keep that detached portion of this stitch. Over, under. And you might be wondering why you would make this stitch detached. It's so you could add it into other spaces on your embroidery. Maybe you want some of these cool woven picots, but it's hard to like stitch it in that area, or you want a bunch of them really close together. This is a really good option for that. Go. Or maybe you're attaching them to like beads or something like that that just don't really have that base for doing this, so that will be a good option too. All right, I think we're gonna maybe do 2 more rows here just to make sure we're really filled in. Right, go back around like so. Make sure we don't mess up our little triangle there. All right, now we gotta start the next one. So again, under that last loop, over our working thread, pull that on through. There we go. All right, and we'll start that next one. Up to the top. Back to the bottom corner and underneath. Back up to the top again, making our center straight stitch. And making sure our triangle isn't funky. All right, there we go. Now we weave. So under, over, under, pull that on through. Smush that up there. Over, under, over. Under, over, under. Make sure my tail doesn't get caught in there. Lengthen that a smidge. All right, under. And for this stitch, I used thread to hold the little markings in place. You can see the purple thread on there. If you would like to use pins or safety pins or anything, you could do that as well. I would just put those on the back of the fabric so that way the pin heads or like bulk of the pins don't get in the way as we work on this here. But this thread in the purple is waste thread, so it will be cut away. It's just used to hold the stitches in place, and then we cut it away when we're done. Make sure I'm not messing this up here. Gotta keep the shape of my triangle. Pull that up through. Go. I think we can fit a few more stitches in here. Make sure not to catch the other woven picot there. There we go. All right, and to end this woven picot, we'll do just like we did with the other ones, where we go underneath that little corner of our thread there, wrap around our working thread, and pull that on through. There we go. All right, now we're going to cut away this purple thread. So be real gentle here, you don't cut your own stitches. Snip. Go. Cut that piece here, that one there. And I I'm actually gonna swing around to the back just so I don't accidentally cut anything on the front. There we go. Just pull all those out. Goodbye purple thread. And oh, we have to cut our waist knot for our chain here. So we'll cut that away and then we'll gingerly pull that out. And this is our detached woven picot chain.